Look, the art of music is absolutely amazing. And rock music is the best. It's awesome. And yes, obviously I'm biased. But for me, doing this channel, it's like I can reach my hand into an endless pot of amazing topics. So many great bands, albums, and artists over the years that, geez, it gives you so many different things to tap into that are amazing. Some good, some bad, but it always comes back to amazing music. And one band we have to talk about today that I feel is very much underrated is the band Sum 41. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, music lovers, especially my rock music lovers. That's right. Do me a favor. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so right now. Absolutely hit that button. That will help me in this channel grow. You know the drill. YouTube puts me out there to a more vast audience. Inevitably, that will help this channel grow. So please, if you're not subscribed, do so right now. Listen, for me, it was the summer of 2001 when a buddy of mine came over with a CD. Well, he threw that CD on, and the first song he played blew me away, and it was this song right here. Now right there, the song Fat Lip from their first actual full-length studio album, All Killer No Filler, was the song that got me into them. And I'm sure that was the song that got a majority of the fan base that they eventually accumulated into them. Now, it's not their first body of work, but that was their biggest commercial success out the gate. And no doubt, an iconic album in rock history. Now, obviously, that was the summer 2001. When you go back with the band actually forming in 1994, one Derek Whibley and Grant McVitie started the band together. Two buddies, schoolmates, absolutely started something amazing. Originally, they didn't go by Sum 41. They went by Casper, eventually changing their name to Supernova before they finally settled on Sum 41. But there was a lot of numerous lineup changes straight out the gate. But eventually, the original lineup, the one that I call the real Sum 41, you had Derek, Steve, Dave, and Jason in the band together by late 1996. And based on most of the research I've done, it was around 1998 when the guys actually got together and started recording demos. They recorded their first one on a cassette tape. That right there makes me feel a little bit old because I don't know about you, but how many of you out there remember having to wait for your favorite song or a new song by an artist to come on the radio, throw a cassette in, and record it? I would even take my grandma and grandpa's cassette tapes, some of their favorite artists. I would stuff the little holes on the top with toilet paper, because if you did that to any tape, even if it was, an actual tape you bought from the store by an artist, you could record over it. And that's what I did to half of their tapes and pissed them off completely. But, man, that takes me back to Sum 41. Their first demo recorded in 1998. By 1999, they were signed by Island Records. Now, they helped them record their first EP, Half Hour of Power. Now, Half Hour of Power, obviously, it's one of those, if you're like me and you got into them when All Killer No Filler came out, with Fat Lip being the promotional single, you would backtrack to this, and this is phenomenal. This is a phenomenal EP, absolutely. This was even certified platinum up in Canada, their homeland. But no doubt, makes it no difference. The lead single off that was huge, huge. It was played on some of the biggest soundtracks for movies of our time. I'm talking about that time, early 2000s. Bring It On, Out Cold, and Van Wilder. All those featured that song. And Make No Difference also had two different videos on it. The first video was just different video clips that they had sent to their production company. Second video was them playing at a house party. Either way, badass song, and both videos are badass. Vintage Sum 41. So after the guys got out of the studio from recording All Killer No Filler, they released it May 8th of 2001. And like most people, that was my introduction. The album is obviously a platinum certified album. It's triple platinum in their homeland of Canada. I mean, and everywhere else around the world, it was a huge album. Definitely made the world take notice right away of who they were. They kicked the door down to the mainstream with this album. I mean, Fat Lip, the lead single, obviously topped the Billboard charts. Without me even looking, I'd have to say it's probably their most successful song to date. And I'd be willing to bet on that. But not only that, I mean, they had some great singles off there. In Too Deep and Motivation. In Too Deep ended up peaking at number 10 on the charts. Motivation at number 24. In Too Deep is an awesome song with an awesome music video. And for me at that time, the American Pie movies were absolutely huge. Obviously, American Pie 2, the end of the movie, the house party scene on the beach when they play In Too Deep, it fits the movie perfect. Obviously, that movie has some of the most amazing songs on their soundtracks, but just that point in the movie and that song being played, it fit it perfect. Absolutely perfect. And some of my other favorite songs off that album are Handle This, Heart Attack, and Nothing on My Back. An absolutely amazing album. They definitely stepped in the door of the mainstream rock charts the absolutely perfect way. After the release of All Killer No Filler in 2001, these guys were insanely busy that whole year. Derek Whibley did an interview where he said that the guys did over 300 concerts that year. Now that's insane. Try to put that in perspective. That's a lot of damn concerts to do in the span of a year. You know that has to be draining. But you got to respect any rock artist or any artist, period, that can do that. You got to go out there and perform for the people. These people are spending money to buy your albums. They're spending money to go to these shows. If you can go out there every night with the energy and give it all you got and show these people that you're enjoying what you do just as much as they're enjoying your music, man, you got to respect the hell out of any artist that can go out there and do that. They were on the Vans Warped Tour in 2001, which in fact, that was my very first Warped Tour. That was the first year I ever went. Unfortunately, when Sum 41 took the stage, and I vividly remember this, one of the girls we were with was throwing up behind an 18-wheeler trailer, and we had to stand there with her for at least 45 minutes. Hey, are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. Clean her up, all that BS. And unfortunately, we missed Sum 41. I was looking forward to watching them. But that was my friend's girlfriend. He was in love with her, so we had to be there for her. It's all right. It is what it is. Now, 2002 saw the release of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the first rendition that he would do. They did an extended version, and they played the song What We're All About from their EP Half Hour of Power. Now, just like the fans, I think the mainstream and the entertainment business took notice as well. They backtracked just like we did after All Killer and realized that was some badass work that they did, and they had to put it in something. So they put it in Spider-Man, the extended version. Go check it out. Not only that, they spent 2 months doing month-long tours separately. They did one, Some Like It Loud, some spelled S-U-M, and then Some on Your Face, also spelled S-U-M. I mean, no doubt. When the guys say they were busy, it sounds like they were hella busy. But not only that, 2002 they got right back in the studio to work on their second studio album. It's on November 6th of 2002 when the band released their second studio album, Does This Look Infected? Awesome album cover because you had 4 different covers which portrayed each member of the band looking like a zombie. Basically, you get the idea. Does this look infected? They're all bleeding, shit coming down their face. Anyway, if you've seen the album covers, you know what I'm talking about. Absolutely amazing. If you bought the special edition, it came with a DVD called Cross Your T's and Gouge Your Eyes. Awesome DVD if you've never seen it. Freaking awesome. These guys from Sum 41 knew how to have fun. Absolutely awesome. I wish I could have hung out with those guys. Even today, and I've told you about future plans for the channel, I'd like to actually go out to certain places, physically be there to show you and not just talk about it, and then interview actual bands, people from bands, whatever it is. That's a goal for this channel, and I will get there. I will get there. 100% confident in that. But till that day comes, you can just kind of imagine what it would be like to talk to certain guys. And the guys from Sum 41, I could completely imagine how awesome that would be to talk to them. It'd be freaking phenomenal. Derek Whibley came out and said when this album was released that he didn't want it to sound like the work they did before. He didn't want to be like most bands that just duplicate the same sound and sound exactly the same as the album they just released before that. I guess that's a good goal to have for any band, but obviously, even though the album may have been a little edgier to an extent, it was still Sum 41. Derek's voice, unique. The way the guys play is just the way they play. So, for me, you knew it was Sum 41. It wasn't a whole lot different, but if that was their goal to be completely different, then they didn't succeed. But if they wanted to create a cool-ass album, then they did succeed. This album ended up top in 32 on the Billboard charts. Went platinum in their homeland of Canada. Was certified gold here in the US. I mean, the singles off there, Still Waiting and Hellsong, freaking phenomenal songs. But when it comes to Hellsong, well, there was more to than just being a badass song. Honest to God, coolest thing about Hellsong was the music video. And you think about music videos, and when I say what makes a music video good, it could be a lot of things. You look at what Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse are doing with some of their music videos these days. They're so, well, they look more high budget than some Hollywood movies. And they're pretty damn cool. But they don't have to be like that to make it cool. I believe Hellsong by Sum 41 is one of the coolest damn videos ever. And I guarantee they didn't spend that much. You have just a bunch of dolls, and they have people's faces, cutouts taped onto the dolls. You had so many different people, members of Korn, Kiss, AC/DC, Snoop Dogg, Destiny's Child. You had Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne, Pamela Anderson. I mean, so many different people in that video, at least their faces portrayed on dolls, and them skating around on tech decks, and it was just the coolest video ever, and to this day I still think it's an awesome video. Now the third single, Over My Head, another damn good song off the album. They did a video for that, but it was exclusively played in Canada. I believe they released a DVD in 2003 where they also featured that video on there, but we didn't get to really see a lot of it here in the US as far as like Fuse, MTV, VH1, some of the big music channels that we were watching at that time. But man, there was some badass songs on this album. Two of my favorites off Does This Look Infected were the song No Brains and My Direction. The entire album was good. It didn't do as good as All Killer, but still, in my opinion, an awesome ass album. Now in 2004, the guys from Sum 41 took a trip over to the Republic of Congo. They did so with a British charity organization called War Child. Now keep in mind, about a year and a half before they arrived, there was quite a bit of fighting. But in that year and a half, it had really died down in the area. Now, literally, days after the guys arrived, fighting broke out very heavily once again, literally right near the hotel they were staying at. Now, initially the plan was for them and anybody else that was there in the hotel with them, was for this to die down, and as soon as it did, get the hell out of there. But they quickly realized that it was not dying down anytime soon. It was pretty bad. And then a United Nations peacekeeper named Charles Chuck Pelletier, he stepped in, called for armored carriers to come to the hotel where all these people were. Now, it took a little over 20 hours, but they finally arrived. They were able to get the band and over 40 civilians out of that hotel and get them to safety. Now, if you want to talk about this making a huge impact on the band, well, it definitely did, and they had the coolest way of honoring this UN peacekeeper. Now, Sum 41 wanted to honor Pelletier for what he did for them in the Congo, and they did it the best way they probably possibly could, because when they released their next album, October 12th, 2004, it was entitled Chuck, to honor him. Absolutely awesome, if you ask me. 100% beautiful. Now, this album ended up hitting 10 on the Billboard charts. Not too bad. Once again, certified platinum in their homeland in Canada, certified gold here in the US. Awesome album. Now, the two of the biggest singles off there were All to Blame and Pieces, were huge songs. But if you ask me, that album is way more than that. The entire album is awesome, 100%. In fact, I was in high school at the time. I would sit there with my guitar, my electric guitar, and I would put that album on, and I would play the whole thing over like I was playing for thousands and thousands of people. I was playing Sum 41 Chuck for those people. Obviously, I was in my room like a dumbass. Nobody else was around. But that's how cool and how much I love that album. I was acting like I was the one singing those songs. Beautiful. Not only that, they went on tour with Good Charlotte that year, and they went on tour with Motley Crue on their Carnival of Sins tour. Now that just shows you how versatile Sum 41 was. Good enough to fall in that pop punk genre category, go on tour with Good Charlotte, but they also had a hard enough cool sound to where they could go on tour with Motley Crue and still be loved by the fans that showed up to each of those venues for each of those bands. That is Sum 41, 100%. They even did a DVD later that year called Rocked, Sum 41 in the Congo, to kind of portray what happened there to them in that situation when they visited there. Now, this ended up showing up on MTV. Originally, that was the debut, and then they came out with a DVD later in 2005. Absolutely awesome. Sum 41 is 100% awesome, and all the way up to this point, they do nothing but amazing things. Chuck by Sum 41 was absolutely amazing, but then, the wheels kind of turned in the wrong direction after that, because later in 2006, Dave ended up leaving the band to go focus on his other band, Brown Brigade, which was more a little bit of a heavier metal style band. And they would end up releasing their next album, Under Class Hero, in 2007. Didn't do all that great. Did well in Canada, which most of their work seemed to do all the time. They love their guys up there in Canada. And then in 2010, they released Screaming Bloody Murder. Again, this album didn't do all that great. But to replace Dave, they ended up bringing in Tom Thacker. When they brought this guy in, it was meant to just be a touring guitarist. But they also had him sign a deal saying that he was not going to be involved in any of the decision making for the bands, writing of songs, wouldn't be involved in any of the videos, wouldn't be shown in any of the photo shoots. Again, if I was Tom, I'd be cool with that as long as you're paying me. But by the time Screaming Bloody Murder was released in 2010, he had a more significant role in the band because it seemed like, okay, he might be around for a while. But 2013, Steve leaves the band. They brought in Frank Zumo to replace him on drums. And then Derek Whibley had a lot of issues going on with liver and kidney failure because of all the drinking he had done over the years. So a lot of crazy shit going on with the band. But a little ray of sunshine, I could say, in 2016 when they released their next album, 13 Voices, Dave came back and rejoined the band. So that 3-album stretch, there was a lot of crap that went on. And kind of seemed like in that moment, even though it was great, all the appearances Sum 41 was doing, even when they released a new album, people were there to at least take notice of it for a second. But it seemed like a lot of that initial magic from their first 3 albums just wasn't there on the next 3. Oh, when the guys from Sum 41 released their 7th studio album in July of 2019, Order and Decline didn't do that great. And it wasn't like a big surprise because the previous 3 albums after Chuck just kind of seemed that that's the direction they were trending. But it didn't matter. The album didn't do that great, but it didn't kill them. Then you fast forward to 2023. They announced in February of that year that they were going to be involved in the When We Were Young concert series that was going on. A lot of great bands. That thing was phenomenal. Absolutely some of the greatest performances. Some bands that we just grew up loving that we hadn't seen in a while or hadn't been as big. We got to see some awesome shows on that. But after they announced that, there was a lot of crap that happened after. You go look May 8th of 2023. They announced as a band that they were going to release their next album, Heaven and Hell, which was going to be a double album. But after it's released, they were going to follow it up with a world tour and they were going to disband. Now, that sucks to hear from any band, but sometimes that doesn't always mean that's the end-all be-all. Now, September of that year, 2023, Derek Whibley was hospitalized from COVID-19. He ended up going in there with an pneumonia, which ended up turning into heart failure. Thanks to good doctors and good treatment, he was able to get out of there. But still, a scary situation after a bunch of news that just seems like, okay, it's going to be the actual end of an era. So on March 29th of this year, 2024, Sum 41 released their double album, Heaven and Hell. Now, double album is usually a big risk for any band or any artist. You know, it's a tough task, and a lot of production companies or music companies or whoever your label is will tell you that's a risk, and some of them will tell you to stray away from that. But it didn't matter. These guys are telling you this is their last album, and this tour that they're following up with is going to be it for them. So why not go out with a double album if it is, in fact, the end? Now, they have set their last 2 shows to end in early 2025, January 28th and January 30th at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Canada, their homeland. Where else would they end if it is their final tour? But no matter what, if it is, they're going to go out with a bang. And I would love to see these guys when they come through our town, because they do have my area on the dates. I don't know if I'll get to make it, but I feel like I have to in one way or another get there if it is the last time we'll see Sum 41. But if we think about it, their career in a nutshell, it's absolutely amazing. These guys are phenomenal. They were able to walk that fine line between the pop punk genre and just good old rock. I mean, it doesn't matter where you want to categorize Sum 41. They're a phenomenal band with a phenomenal catalog. Forget about some of the duds they did. Every band has them. But the work that they did that was noticed, that was certified, that we've known to grow and love, that's what you got to remember. And that's some phenomenal work out there. And if we want to talk about where does Sum 41 stack up, they're one of the best bands of all time, in my opinion. They come from my era, my younger days when they came out till now. They're one of those bands that I've got to see through the whole process. Don't know where you put them, but I'd like to know. Put it in the comment section. Where do you stack Sum 41 up with some of the greats? Anyway, till next time, go out there and take care of yourself, your friends, your family. Do something amazing. Doesn't matter if everything doesn't work out and you drop a couple duds. If you love something, you got to keep moving forward, no matter what. Till next time, take care of yourself. I'm out.